Could we possibly be seeing Robert Downey Jr., that's right, Iron Man, in the DC Extended Universe, the DCEU? Let's talk about it. This is very interesting right here because I read an article from a reputable source that the WB, Warner Brothers, and the DC Universe are trying to reel in Robert Downey Jr. to have a role in one of their upcoming films and one of their upcoming properties. Now, there's a lot of roadblocks and walls and hurdles to cross just to try to get that to happen. Me personally, I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll get into that in a second. But this isn't new news, actually. Warner Brothers has been trying to get Robert Downey Jr. to become one of their main actors in one of their films for a couple years now. But Robert Downey Jr. is so cemented in the Marvel universe and the Marvel world that how can he possibly flip-flop and go over to DC and Warner Brothers? Well, this wouldn't be the first time an actor has done that. Actually, Christian Bale is slated to play a role in one of the key Marvel superhero films coming out soon. So we have Christian Bale, that was Batman, cemented in the DC universe a couple years ago in the trilogy of successful Batman films by Christopher Nolan. Now he's slated to be in an upcoming Marvel film titled Thor: Love and Thunder, which is going to be a major Marvel property. Not just some little film or some little role on a, Disney Plus, the streaming service. Nah, Christian Bale will be starring in this film alongside Chris Hemsworth. So that's major right there. More notably, Ryan Reynolds, who was Green Lantern about 11 years ago or something like that in a Warner Brothers property film. The movie Green Lantern, as you know, didn't do very well at all. It wasn't a successful film at the box office, but Ryan Reynolds made that transition over to the Marvel Universe to play Deadpool. So, the precedent, not president, but precedent has been set a couple times, many times before. So I don't know, it could possibly happen. Me personally, I don't think it's going to happen. First of all, Iron Man is Iron Man. You can't take Iron Man. Well, it's not Iron Man and taking him and putting him in the DC Extended Universe. It's taking Robert Downey Jr. and putting him in the DC Extended Universe. But anyway, anywho, you can't take such a huge star like Robert Downey Jr. and just sprinkle him into a Warner Brothers property. I don't think you can do that. Would I think it would work? Actually, yeah, I do think it would work. And I would actually be curious and love to see how it will pop and love to see how it will happen. So I'm just going to keep my pulse on this and we'll see what happens. And in another little bit of comic news, comic book movie, comic film news, director Lee Daniels was actually courted to direct a Wolverine film some years ago, back when Hugh Jackman was in the middle of filming all of those Wolverine films and X-Men films and things of that nature. But Lee Daniels was courted by Hugh Jackman, but the way the story goes, the way Lee Daniels told it was that he went to go interview and he had, an interview with the big higher ups over there at the time it would have been, I think it would have been 20th Century Fox. And they were just basically, not feeling him, and they wasn't feeling his style and his approach because Lee Daniels was only known at that time for directing the film Precious. And Hugh Jackman was so fascinated about that film and how he directed that movie to where he was like, yo, I want you to direct a Wolverine film. But the studio heads wasn't feeling Lee Daniels. And that opened up Lee Daniels to go on to do bigger and better things like the movie The Butler. And he's done TV shows like Empire and Mad and a lot of other shows. And so it worked out actually for both Hugh Jackman and Lee Daniels. But that would have been kind of strange. I'm not going to say interesting. I'm not going to say good because I can't see, and I would have loved to seen an African-American, a black director put in such a prominent position to direct such a high-profile property like Wolverine. But to see Lee Daniels, who we so used to seeing him doing dramas and things of that nature, direct the action-packed Wolverine movie, I don't think that would have been a good mix like that. I don't think I would have checked for that, but you never know what could have happened. But hey, you never know. You just never know. Yo, it's AP, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you to the over 600 subscribers I currently do have. Much love and respect. It's your boy. Peace.